Hey everyone! So obviously I am not here, but we are still going to be doing a quick lesson on conclusion paragraphs. And I'm going to do this the same way I do it when I'm in the classroom with you. I'm going to go through our instruction slides that you guys have in your Google Classroom, and I'm going to then show you how you use it on your outline. So you should have open both the presentation and the outline to kind of follow along with me here. Now, throughout this video, every once in a while, I will say pause the video so that you can do whatever it is I told you to do. Make sure you pause, do that thing, and if you're ever confused, just rewind the video, listen again, try, or raise your hand and see if the adult in the room can help you. Okay, so let's get started finishing our outline. So you should have open this outline that we've been working on here, and then the presentation that looks like this over here, okay? Now, if you're watching this video, that means that all of your body paragraphs should be filled out, kind of like this one is right here, okay? So if you've written all your race paragraphs, you should have them now copied into your body paragraphs in your outline. We did this on Wednesday together, so should be good here. Again, if you're not or you're confused, just raise your hand right now and ask for help from someone in the room. We are going to be working on our final paragraph, so we'll be down here in paragraph 5, and this final paragraph is going to be called the conclusion. So right here in paragraph 5, go ahead and type conclusion. Now, as you can see here, the conclusion is the final paragraph of an essay that concludes or wraps up your argument. So here, this blank, we're going to put final, that means last, paragraph of an essay that concludes the argument. So let me bold those words so you can easily see them. These are what go in the blank. Oops, did not do that very well. There we go. All right, if you need to, pause the video so you can get down that the last paragraph is the conclusion and write down the definition of conclusion. All right, so there are a few key elements of a conclusion paragraph that you need to know. So in a conclusion, it's the last paragraph your readers are going to read. And so it should pretty much sum up what your argument's been about so far. The conclusion should give your reader a sense of completeness and happiness. Now that you've wrapped up your argument, they understand your full idea and they are convinced that you are correct. Okay? It doesn't really have to be super long, somewhere between 3 and 6 sentences, but it does need to do at least 3 things. Okay? So number 1, it needs to kind of link back to your introduction. So think of this as kind of like you're drawing a line between your essay here, between your first paragraph and your last, and it really should kind of like give it a sense of being complete. Like if you asked a question at the beginning, maybe you answer that question, or if you brought forth a shocking fact, maybe you reference that fact again, or if you told a story, you finish the story, so that it all kind of comes full circle, okay? Think of it as like kind of continuing on your hook. Summarize your main points, that's the next thing you should do, and restate your thesis. But when I say restate, that means that you're going to state it again using different words. So you're still going to be giving your claim and your main points, you're just not going to say it the exact same way you did in your first paragraph. You're going to remind us of the important things you said without kind of sounding like you're on repeat. And then the last thing you need to do is maybe end with a little bit of a twist. This is your wrap-up statement or your closing statement. It's going to cause your reader to be like, yeah, okay, I'm convinced. This person's right. And so this can be like a call to action. You can tell them what to do, or you can leave them with a question to consider. And we'll talk about that here in just a second. So, conclusion paragraph, the goal is to wrap up your argument and make sure that you left no page unturned for your reader and they are convinced. All right, so with that being said, let's think about your rephrased thesis. That's the first thing we're going to do. So here in your outline, you have a rephrased thesis statement. The definition is listed on the slide here. It reminds your reader about your blank. That's going to be claim. Okay, so it's going to remind your reader about your claim, which is that you think that blank is the world's biggest problem. Reminds your reader about your claim and your main points. So if you need to pause to add in this definition, go ahead. So again, the rephrased thesis statement reminds your reader about what your claim was throughout this paper and what some of your main points were. Those would be the different reasons for each of your paragraphs. And it's not going to be an exact copy of the original. Sorry about that. Okay, so for example, here in this essay, my thesis statement is all the way up here. And I said the world's biggest problem is climate change because of melting glaciers, severe weather, and imminent death. Okay, so I'm probably just going to try and say this in a different way. To help myself, I'm just going to copy it and come paste it down here so it's easier to remember. And then I'm just going to change it. Maybe I'll say the biggest problem our world is facing right now is climate change for reasons like, maybe I'll say it in reverse, imminent death, severe weather, and melting glacial ice. That is my thesis statement, just said in a different way. Okay, and saying it just slightly different makes a difference to your reader. If you keep saying over and over again, the world's biggest problem is, the world's biggest problem is, it gets repetitive and boring, and it almost becomes distracting because your reader's like, God, how many times are they going to say this, right? It's like when you're listening to someone speak and they keep saying, eventually you notice and it's like all you can think about. So you don't want to do that. You don't want to be repetitive for your reader. Maybe just change up the words a little bit. Doesn't have to be a lot. It says the same thing, just in a new way. Okay, so go ahead and write your rephrased thesis statement right where you see where mine is in the example. Pause the video. Do that now. All right, so now the next thing that we're going to focus on is your closing statement. This is going to be your last sentence. Wow, can you believe we're already here? Okay, so your closing statement is where you end with a twist. It's a wrap-up statement, and sometimes what you can do is you can call your reader to action, right? So like, now that you know about climate change, make sure that you are recycling, trying to go net zero, give them advice on what they can do now that they are aware of the problem. That's called a call to action. You could ask the readers to get involved in supporting your point of view. So like next time someone asks you what you think a big problem in our world is today, you can say climate change. Or you can ask a question like, so now, do you agree? Is the world's biggest problem climate change? Or do you understand now how serious climate change is? You can end with a question. All right? So for me, I think I'm probably going to ask a question. Maybe I'll say something like, with all of this evidence piled together, how could you not agree that climate change is a threat to us all? Done. Bing. And so you just decide, what do you want to leave your readers with? What's the last thing you want to say? And go ahead and write your closing statement now. Pause the video. Do it. Okay. All right. You got one more thing to do, and your conclusion's done. So remember when I said you have to link back to your first paragraph? That was a long time ago, right? Like Monday or something. 3 sleeps ago. long time. So you're going to go up here to your first paragraph and think about like the hook that you wrote. Think about how you grabbed the reader's attention, right? And you're going to want to bring that back. So like, let's say for my hook, I was like, oh gosh, I don't know. Did you know that if the world does not meet its goals for addressing climate change by 2030, we are all going to start feeling the consequences? Okay. All right. So that's my hook, right? I'm asking a question that makes them think about the future and how we're going to be affected soon if we don't start holding ourselves accountable for our climate goals. So then down here, maybe I'll be like, 10 years from now, the consequences of not addressing climate change are going to become very real and very scary. Climate change is obviously something we should all care about. And there you go. Boom. Your paragraph, done. Okay? Once you write this, link back to your intro. And just use your own words. Okay? You don't have to overthink this. Just try your best. Use your own words here. Link it back to how you got their attention in the first place. Bring it back to their minds. Remind them what the thesis and the main points were, and then leave them with something to do or something to think about, okay? And then that's your conclusion paragraph, guys, and your essay is done. So, Miss Jessie should be there, unless you're watching this in 8th hour, then Miss Jessie won't be there. But there are people in the room that can help you. You can try and shoot me an email, no promises, but I might see it. But just try, is all I'm asking for you. Writing something's better than writing nothing. And then when you are done with this conclusion paragraph, you're going to turn in your whole finished outline into Classroom, okay? So that means that, let me see, here we go, that this paragraph is filled in. This whole paragraph right here, filled in. This whole paragraph would be filled in. And this one, and this one. Okay, and then you turn it in Google Classroom. All right, now remember, I'm watching you. I can see what you're working on. I have access to your outline. Please don't waste this time. Turn it in when you're done. And then in your playlist for the week, you guys have First Chapter Friday linked. I'll go ahead and just pull that up and show you guys so you can see. So let's just go to Google Classroom. And I'll use my lovely, lovely first hour as an example. So week 21 playlist is somewhere near the top, or in classwork, you just go over here to week 21, open up your playlist, and you will find your First Chapter Friday, which is read by the author, linked here on the cover of the book. It'll take you to this YouTube video of Jason Reynolds reading from the first chapter of his book, Ghost. Okay? So, guys, good luck writing your conclusion paragraphs. I will see you all on Monday where we're going to start typing your essays. So, have a wonderful weekend. I miss you, and goodbye.